Of course I can. It's actually my own question that I'm answering this week, and this is something that's been on my to-do list, and I decided it's really high time that I should dive in, and that's because these are my photos from Week in the Life 2015, and I've just finished taking my photos for Week in the Life 2016. So it would feel a little better if I went ahead and cut this into my album rather than just a whole bunch of photos sitting on my hard drive. Not that I don't love the photos in my library as a start, but I'd like them better in my album. To give you a little bit of context on where I'm going with this project, I did my first Week in the Life album with Ali Edwards at CKU in 2006, and I've done 1 week, I think pretty much every year since then. And for the first few years, I kept them all in the same album that we used in 2006. So that it's a 12 by 12 album, and it has, I think, 3 years that all fit in there. And then when I got to the 4th year, I started working on the same page size, thinking I'll get another album that matches, and then didn't. And so in that meantime, I'd put it into my chronological album just so that I wouldn't lose track of the pages. And after a few months, I realized I really love the way that Week in the Life blends into the story of my chronological albums. I keep just the vast majority of my pages, the pages that tell the little stories from day to day throughout the year, all go in chronological order in my albums, and I start a new one each year. When it gets full, I just add a volume 2 and so on. Very, very simple system that I like for storytelling. And I have other albums that are special things, but these are just, you know, the normal everyday stories. So putting Week in the Life right in the middle of that album, just wherever it fits in the calendar, just has this little area of the album that gives you a bit more in-depth look at our little bits of life without the album feeling so heavy that it's just, there's nothing else. So there's a nice mix of stories in there. So ever since, I've tried to keep my Week in the Life pages within that format. I don't want to make a smaller, different book. I want to keep it copacetic, everything in the same album. So I'm working at 12 by 12, and I want to still have that format where there's a Monday, a Tuesday, a Wednesday, and those things are all nice and clear. But I've decided I will have 2 page protectors per day. So there's going to be one plain 12 by 12, and each day is going to start with a giant photo. So I went through my photo library and divided everything by day, and then I chose which photo would be the one that I wanted to print really, really big. So I have 7 great big, these are A4 prints, and I'll have front and back of a 12 by 12 page protector. Then my second page protector will still be 12 by 12, but it's divided into 3 by 3 squares. So I printed 18 3 by 3 photos for each day. So I have all of those on 4 by 6 cards. And then that will be front and back of the divided page protector, which leaves me some other pockets to do things like take this, which I have, the supplies I've pulled out so far. I picked up 1 pattern paper for each day, and then I have this kit, which I think is 2 years old from Ali's shop. So it had this set of journaling cards and day markers and things like that, but they're 3 by 4, so I'm going to cut them down to 3 by 3. And then I have all the other little bits that came in that kit. Just flip through so you can see there's little phrases, there's chipboard, gold labels, chipboard numbers, little file tabs, green labels, a bit of star transparency, some rub-ons with the date, a set of stamps, a little patch, some wood veneer, and some blue acrylic stars. I think I'll need more embellishment, but I am going to try my best to use this kit because, well, I bought it. I might as well use it, right? No, I do really like this kit, but because I had meant to use it when I did this last year, and I took the photos and didn't get it scrapped, so I want to go ahead and use those supplies that I've kept aside for a whole year. Okay, so my process at this point then becomes, how do I do each page so that it doesn't take me 10 hours per layout, but it also doesn't just feel like an assembly line. I don't get a lot of enjoyment out of assembly line craft. I've tried it time and time and again. It's great for Christmas cards, wedding invitations, party invites, things like that. It's not where I find the greatest reward when I'm working with my hands. I like working on each page being a little bit different. So, in order to do that and keep that enjoyment and not revert to an assembly line fashion, but to not have it be so free reign that I end up agonizing over every little bit and the whole thing takes months and months to complete, I'm just going to try to identify little tasks that I can do in a row. So the first thing I'm going to do is each of my big 12 by 12 pieces, they're going to have these big photos, and they're each going to have the day of the week, which I've cut. It's my own handwriting, but I've cut from white cardstock with the silhouette. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and get these branding strips cut off so that I can start with those pages, and I'll show you how they come together. Starting simply then, each of these pages is going to have one big photo, and it's going to be moving from one side to the next just based on the direction that the photo is facing. So here I want it to face into the open space rather than have his direction looking right off the edge. So I'm going to go this way. And then when I first cut these, I thought I would go something like this and have them at the bottom of each picture, and then I realized right from Monday's photo that's not a good place compositionally to put it. So I decided I'm okay with putting it in a place on the page that's maybe a little less traditional, little more invasive. And then I'm going to go for places that do things like this and really put the text right into the image. So this is visually sitting right on top of the plane of focus. So this is the part of the photo that's in focus, and this is right above. And it's right in the middle of his eye line and where all the lines in his body are leading. So I wouldn't do that on most pages because I would want to leave the photo to stand alone. But in this project, for some reason, I just thought I felt more comfortable doing that and going ahead and breaking up the image a little bit with some text. Then I want to do a little bit of a collage on each page. And I thought I would start by looking at this stamp, because I thought with the stamps I could have some elements that repeated in each little collage. So there's this circle that says celebrate the everyday. I thought I might see if it's a good match for punch. For the moment I'm just going to stamp it in black. So that's something that I could use each time. I might do it with some pattern paper rather than just plain white, or I might add some color, but it gives me a little start to knowing what different things I could put in there to bring each page together. I found a better answer. I like the idea of using the same stamp but a different pattern paper for each time, because it means that I can choose a pattern paper and I can just pick it from scraps and 6x6 paper pads to match each day's photo in some way. So I like the idea of picking this one that has all the different colors to match with the fact that it has the crayons in the picture. So I'm going to do that for each one. So I'm getting myself something that's similar to an assembly line without it just being literally every single one is going to be exactly the same. Does that make sense? I'm hoping to find a balance. Something else that would help me find some balance in this process would be to have something that does actually repeat on every page, even though there's going to be a variety of different pattern papers. If there was one pattern that did show up on every page. So I decided I would take something that was not completely plain, but in a neutral color, and I was looking for gray. I found this page, which it's from Basic Grey Second City, which I had been, I think Second City, possibly Monami. And I had been, no, it is Monami, I just checked. I've been keeping it for a long time because I really, really like the pattern, but never finding exactly the right page to keep it 12 by 12. And instead, I've cut it into 3 by 6 pieces because that will be a nice size to go alongside the photo, the big photo on each of these. It'll give me a spot to build that collage on each one and make them all feel like they go together. So now I have one of those for each page, and what else to put in this little grouping. For the rest of the embellishment that's going to go into the collage, I'm starting with the things in the kit. So I know I have one of these date circles to go for on each day, and I have enough of these blue stars that I could put one of these on each day. And enough of these green labels. And I can put one of those on each day. Then I went away from the kit and into my stash to grab some other things that I would have enough for one for each day, even if they're not identical. So I have gold puffy stars and circles, some word stickers, some tiny little hearts, some labels. I originally was just going to grab one roll of washi tape and then thought, no, what if I use this, which I have been keeping rather than using lately. I keep pulling it out and looking at it and putting it back, so it's time to use it. And I have this chipboard, which I seem to have been using for years, but I still have more than 7 pieces, and it fits that theme of days of the week and has some nice bold primary and close to primary colors. So I thought that might be a good mix. Let's see where this can go. Each time this is going to go behind the photo and over to the side, and each day of the week is going to overlap a little bit so that there is something that brings it all together. That's going to fit nicely into that little corner. Cut this Monday apart very carefully. I'm hoping that that's going to look quite nice on top of the gray. Yeah. Oh, I think I lost some of the lines. Maybe not. Okay. And let's see, what else? Have this label going behind there. I originally wasn't planning on inking, and then that gray piece I just thought would look nicer if the edges were black. So now I am inking. I'm going to do black ink on the layers. Move that over so it's just a little bit behind the end of the Y. This gives me a good little gap for my washi tape. I think I might even, originally I was thinking I would wrap it around the outside of the page. Then I made it a little shorter, and now I think actually it'd be better if it's shorter than the gray box. Stop there, that's better for me. What else? I'd like to get some red into this particular set of embellishments. I want this to be a little bit shorter, so just trim it down with my scissors. Oops. Not the best cutting job I've ever done, but I'm going to layer some other things on top, so it may work out okay. Is there any room for a bigger label? Is that too much overlapping the Monday circle? I kind of like it. I'm going to leave it. I'm not liking that this is not perfect. I wonder if I can fix it a little bit. That's better. How about this chipboard? Like that one with the house. In this week of documenting, Week in the Life fell on a week where we were actually away from home at the weekend. So I like the idea of putting this house motif in here at the beginning of the week while we were home. And I like how the red heart there and the red line underneath gives it a little bit of grounding. I did like it here as well, but then I lose the place to write the date. So I decided against that. And I'm just looking at this star. There is one side that's shinier than the other, so I'm going to put my adhesive on the side that does not have the shine. I think I like this up here. Nope, where I started. Go. And I do want some dimension down here, so that's where I use gold star this corner here. And maybe is this too much? If this just makes you freak and scream a little bit, I'm sorry. It's my photo. It's not in your album. It's okay. I like it though. Just for something different. Brings this whole unit together. Oh, okay. Did I go through everything? I still have my tiny little orange hearts. All these different colors. It was yellow that I pulled it out for. And I have enough of these that I can do a little triangle on each of the collages. Do I want anything else in that little mix? I've got a place to write the date and some maybe stamp a sentiment here. Let's see. That's a bit too big, but this is our life would work, or the everyday hashtag would work. Stories of life is too big. This is our life. Okay. Let's do this one. I'm going to try to use this date stamp on each of the big photo days. I'm not sure I might use it on just every single day, but I can at least start with it there on the Monday. And I think I need a little bit of writing here and maybe a little bit of gold mist. I think that gives me enough that I can replicate this amount on each of the pages. So I'm going to go ahead and do all of my big photo pages right in a row so that I can just keep this little thing, this amount of collage going. I think if I were to stop and do all the other pages, that then when I came back to Tuesday, I'd want to make this bigger and bolder. If I do them all now, and So again, it's a partial assembly line. I don't want it to be an assembly line in the fact that each piece is identical. I still want the fun of piecing it all together and having each element be a little bit different. But I want to keep it efficient and effective and quick to go through. So that's my compromise. That's all 7 of the big photo pages done. So I'm a quarter of the way there because there's 4 pages, essentially. There's 2 page protectors, 4 pages for each day of the week. I'm a quarter of the way there. One of the things that really does help me get through projects like this is to get it into the context of the album as quickly as possible. So this is my 2015 album, and I want my week in the life pages to go into this album. So I just want to, it's all chronological order, so I'm going to go to where it fits, and I'm going to go ahead and put these pages in. I think this will be quite interesting how it falls, because there'll be lots of the little detail, and then because the week that I documented fell where we started at home, but then we went away, I've already done some layouts that are then the following days while we're still away. So just a few here. So this is heading back. So I think it will be a nice little flow from every day into something that was a bit of a special event, a lot of travel pages, different kind of feel as you come out of the week in the life and go back into the normal album. That could also be me overthinking things, but there we go. So I have my 7 day of the week pages to go in straight away. And then my next step, I'm going to go ahead and do the divided page protectors next. And then I'm going to come back to these pages. And I know that may be a little counterproductive, because it means that if I were to lose steam and stop halfway through, I'm going to have all these empty backs and not have that part finished, and maybe I should go power through the 12 by 12s. But I think at this point is when I'm ready for a change. I'm ready to take on the pocket. So I'm going to put the album back on the shelf for a little bit and work on those. Now this is one point where I am going to tidy up my desk, but I wanted to keep it a little bit real for you. So I went ahead and did all 7 of those pages without tidying the desk, because that's how I would work. Now that's 1/4 of the pages done, but that means 3/4 left to go. The next video here on this channel will include all of the divided page protectors that have all the little pockets for the smaller photos and journaling. If you'd like to subscribe, you can get notifications to know exactly when that video goes live, or you can just stop by. It will not be a whole week that you have to wait, just till tomorrow or maybe a little bit of the next day, depending on what time zone you're in. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you soon.